Most of our travels take us to places already on the map. But this time, we're taking you somewhere a little different. A historic rail line that could one day become an 86-mile trail connecting the Portland area to the Oregon coast. For 2 days, we went on a bit of a journey, traveling over train trestles and deep into forests, following the rail line alongside rushing rivers and through coastal communities. Welcome to the Salmonberry Trail. Our tour guide is John Paul Bowles, Executive Director for the Salmonberry Trail Foundation. He's also an Oregonian who grew up visiting the docks of the marina in coastal Wheeler.
Let's take a step back in time here before we go any farther. What is kind of the Salmonberry corridor, and what's the vision for what it could one day become?
Well, right now the corridor is essentially a largely abandoned rail line. It's been a part of the story of the history of Oregon before settlement and should be a part of our story again. And it's a project that's just ripe for being rail to trail. It's built in the early 20th century. I've seen 1911 as the date the railroad was completed, and so it served largely the logging industry. And at one time it served as a passenger line as well, which I'm sure was phenomenal. But again, since 2007, since storms washed out so much of the railway in the canyon, it's not feasible to run rail there again. So rather than have it just grow over, we'd love to see it stay in the public domain and be an asset for the public.
On a Monday morning, we met John Paul at a trailhead near the community of Timber. Like the rest of the Salmonberry, the area we hiked is closed to the public.
John Paul, how you doing, man?
Hey, doing good.
Good to see you.
Great to see you, welcome. So we're in the Tillamook State Forest, not too far outside of Timber, and we're gonna be checking out the old rail line, which is the alignment for the Salmonberry Trail.
I feel pretty excited about getting a peek behind the curtain here, and with the best tour guide there is. So why don't you say we get after it here?
All right, that sounds
All right,
good.
Let's do it. You've got a lot to build, and it is a massive piece of infrastructure. How many miles is the trail?
86 all in all.
We walked for a few miles along the rail line, with John Paul dropping bits of history along the way.
Yeah, there's some really cool old rail infrastructure that's still here as well. This is a switch where they could move tracks with the cars and reset cars.
It's wild that it's still here. And the fact that you can actually still do it, you know?
Good old-fashioned industrial revolution technology still working.
Man.
There will be places that really blow your mind that it's only been 13 years since there was a train running on this. Imagine this being created in, what, early 1900s? With horses and a bunch of labor. I mean, the work is absolutely incredible.
About how many of these types of tunnels are there going through?
There are quite a few trestles, tunnels, bridges along the entire 86-mile stretch.
I mean, that's so much of what makes this trail cool, right? Is the history of the place. The fact that trains barreled through here, you know, up until 13-ish years ago.
And it tells you about not just the place that you're in right then, but the place that's been there for thousands of years.
At about midday, we reached the Big Baldwin Trestle, named for the creek that rushes below.
Yeah, I mean, we're a ways up. Notice the two-hand grip on the panels here.
It's an impressive structure, but the uneven footing and huge drop down to the creek reminded me of the work that's still needed before the Salmonberry is safe for the public.
What must it feel like under here with the train over the top?
We hiked back to the road, hopped in our separate cars, and headed closer to Portland, stopping at the Manning Trailhead to see the easternmost point of the future Salmonberry.
All right.
So, Manning Trailhead, we are standing at just nearly the foot of the future Salmonberry Trailhead. Right over there.
That's right.
That's pretty cool.
Very cool, and we're really stoked because the Salmonberry, where it connects to the Banks Vernonia, The Banks Vernonia will connect to the Crown Zillerback Trail.
So really, you could make this a little day loop, no problem, or you could use it for a bigger launching point.
So there's really kind of a confluence, a crossroads here.
We ended the day, parted ways with John Paul, and made plans to meet up the next week to check out more of the Salmonberry Corridor.
John Paul dropped us this pin out at the confluence of the Salmonberry and Nehalem rivers. And we're out going to meet him right now, 6:59 a.m., and it is still pitch black outside. John Paul said, dropped us a pin right about here. And these are the railroad tracks. How's it going, man?
Good to see you again. Good morning.
What's up?
Is this place special or what?
Oh my gosh. I've got this pin where two rivers meet. I don't know anything else about this area. So it's gonna be really fun to like have you play tour guide and just show us what's up.
I could see why John Paul loves this place. The two rivers, striking railroad bridge, and beautiful Pacific Northwest forest combined for a pretty amazing scene. Before continuing on, we set off on a short hike down the old railroad line to see a bit more of the Salmonberry River itself.
You know, before I moved to the Northwest, you just don't see moss that overtakes a tree like that. I mean, that is such a staple.
I'm fascinated by direction, being able to orient what direction you're headed based on where the moss is growing and how, a south-facing slope is going to have, certain types of vegetation more than others. This is really the heart of the experience in my mind. It's a beautiful place in the Coast Range, and this river in particular has the most intact run of native steelhead on the North Coast. Absolutely worth protecting.
And just in its own right, extremely beautiful too. I mean, we've got the river just rushing down here. It's gushing pretty good here on the 1st of December. I can only imagine, I mean, this is a place that you really want to work to preserve.
Absolutely. There are a lot of folks who support the trail and just think it's a no-brainer. The only real reasonable resistance I hear some is concern about human impacts on this ecosystem. So we're doing some stewardship work before we even think about building trail in this area to help make sure that we're gonna leave this place, it's gonna be better than it was. And we can do that by removing invasive species and getting more native stuff in. And we've got to do a lot of education when we invite folks to be here to make sure that they're not depleting the resource. So I think this is gonna provide a lot of opportunity for folks to get out and learn and experience.
Yeah, I mean, you can't advocate for what you don't know exists.
Exactly.
Right?
That's great.
So how long you could do this, right?
Not as long as I used to.
Off. We've seen the Salmonberry. Gonna hop in the car and follow you down the Nehalem a little bit?
All right, sounds good. Let's go check out the river segment.
Cool, man, let's do it. All right, I'll follow you.
On our way to the coast, we stopped to see a gorgeous piece of the future trail and watch the Nehalem River flow toward its namesake bay and, eventually, the Pacific Ocean. The next stop on our tour was a place John Paul holds close, the town of Wheeler on Nehalem Bay. He grew up learning to fish at Wheeler Marina with his father and uncle, both of whom passed away in 2020.
Feels special to be here with you and to feel the really strong connection you have here. Got no better tour guide for this trip, that's for sure.
The trail is planned to run alongside the gorgeous Nehalem Bay before reaching its endpoint in Tillamook, our final stop of the day. But before we headed to Tillamook, we had to do what one should always do on the Oregon coast: stop for fresh seafood.
Hello.
Hello, how are ya?
How are you today?
In our case, huge Dungeness crabs and bay shrimp from the Garibaldi cannery.
All right, we're all set.
Oh, dang. There we go.
Let's go have that picnic.
Oh, I'm stoked about this. All right.
As a Michigan native, I was grateful for John Paul's lesson about how to properly eat a crab.
You're really putting in your PNW roots, your Oregon roots, when you're cracking crab. All right, so grab by both sides and just fold it in together towards the middle. That'll work. And then press down on the segments here, and you kind of just, you don't want to go too hard, but you want to loosen up some of that.
Okay, so you're not trying to break it.
Yeah,
you're just
that's
trying
right.
to loosen it.
Pull a segment.
Boom.
Exactly. And then you can just kind of peel this like a little piece of fruit.
This is the way it's done.
This is how my grandma taught me. Just get it down to that and then kind of bite it gently.
Uh-huh. There are worse ways, I hear, to spend a Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah,
So I hear.
This is not bad at all. Oregon coast.
After lunch, it was time for our final stop. John Paul wanted to show us the western terminus of the future trail, so we headed to a park in the city of Tillamook.
I'm realizing as I get older that the gift I was given as a child to be on the water or outdoors is really special and unique, and a lot of people don't have a certain comfort level. So having something like a trail like the Salmonberry that makes nature accessible to people, that helps tell the story of the environment that they're in and why that's important and what their role is in protecting that, I think that's probably what I'm most passionate about, the beauty and reverence of this place, all the way from that farmland to the ocean.
Well, John Paul, this has been really an incredible 2 days. I think I had an idea of what the Salmonberry was, what it is, what it can be, and I will say I'm so much more excited about the project than I was before I set foot, on that rail bed. So thank you so much for having us and for kind of opening my eyes to what the potential of this landscape is.
Jim, it was great to have you out on the trail. I've really enjoyed our conversation and having a chance to show off this beautiful place, and I hope a lot more people get to experience it soon.
All right, my man. Appreciate it very much.
Today, the magic of the Salmonberry corridor is intrinsic. The varied landscapes and historic trestles and tunnels are spectacles in their own right. Still, years of work remain before the Salmonberry's potential is realized. But one thing's for sure, I'd love to return and hike the trail from end to end.